The Bucs have almost reached the first full week of training camp. We're going to be there tonight whenever they go against Bucs. Offense, defense will have some instant reactions later on, but we have some winners and losers to begin camp. We're going to talk some Baker Mayfield. How did he perform? Also, too, some of those losers. What is that? Is it offense, defense? Where could that specifically be coming from? We've got some rookies to also talk about, including Reuben Bain Jr. Got our first look at him with the pads on, along with Jalen Daniels, the rookie from Kansas, showing some good signs so far. We're also going to make some prize picks as per usual. And then we're going to jump into a conversation regarding the contract negotiations between Vita Vea and the Bucs and the latest on Baker Mayfield. With me this morning is Caleb Skinner, our lead veteran writer at Caleb Skinner at BucsGameday.com, and then River Wells, our lead editor at BG. Gentlemen, good morning. We don't have a practice right now, but we will in about less than 7 hours as the guys have an eating practice.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff. I'm hearing it's day 3 for you guys in a row of being inside the IPF. So that's interesting with all the rain and weather that's going on there. But, get the guys prepared to play in Atlanta, I guess, and in the Superdome over there in New Orleans. But, yeah, cool. You guys are being able to have that night one. I know there's usually one every single training camp that we've been to. So that's always fun to get in there. But since you've already been in there, probably not going to be as fun. It'll be cool for the fans. That's when we get to see a lot of the fans kind of show up, since there's no work going on and things of that nature. So it'll be pretty lively, and I'm sure in there. And just continuing to see how the guys are, paving their way to either trying to make the roster, how they're looking. Some of the guys coming off injury, like David Walker, which I'm sure we'll talk about him as well. So I'm excited. So far, so good. We've kind of cleared the injury bug a little bit. Nothing too severe, so that's great news.
Mm-hmm. Welcome back, River. You have pest control on site right when we began.
They're all good now, though. So
they're all good. The pest control is great. Yeah. No.
Caleb, ready for another one. Ready for another one tonight.
Yeah, it's nonstop. We'll have a break. We say we have a break. It's really the players. I mean, we enjoy being out there, so there's no complaining on our end. The rain has been certainly a hassle, I think, too, for the Bucs. They want to be out there on the field more. They want to get adjusted to that heat because it's certainly coming. I've never been at a training camp where it's like rain like this. I don't think we've ever had a practice where it's actually rained, and for about 3 days straight it's raining in the morning, monsooning. Yesterday was absolutely insanity, but it was cool to actually be out there for the first 30 minutes. Certainly when the offensive line went against the defensive line, we actually got our first chance to take a look at first round pick Reuben Bain, because you can't do a lot of evals from him when they're just wearing jerseys and shorts. You can't do that in the trenches. So to have him going against Luke Gedeke, then you had a chance to look at David Walker the first time in pads, which not only us, but also too, Todd Bowles was really intrigued to see him as well. We'll get another glimpse of that tonight. We'll see how much they're going to do there on that end, but you can tell, these guys want to hit. Cade Otton said the same thing, kind of felt like home whenever he was up there at Washington playing, rainy and windy, had to play with the elements. And so it's been a pretty interesting start to camp. We've got a lot of winners. I think you have a whole lot more of winners on our list than we do losers, but we'll make sure we go through each one of those. We appreciate all the love you guys have been showing us here on YouTube. If you're with us, throw in some comments, some questions, topics. I know Caleb has a few too, since he's not on site with us, and he'll bring up some good topics as well, but want to see you guys in the comments. We appreciate y'all's support a ton. So let's go ahead and get started. And, I say we go straight into the winners because there is a lot of them and there's going to be plenty to discuss. I'll start off with one that I have listed here, and it's just going to be the overall look at the defensive line. And it's pretty funny I say that because Vita Vea has not been in this defensive line. But you look at guys like David Walker, who has obviously gotten a lot of love the last week. And then also to just the interior with Kalijah Cansey in there, Elijah Roberts, Ashawn Robinson, Roches as well. There's a lot to like about this room. And I felt like certainly when the pads came on yesterday, there was no run game. There was guys getting to the backfield, and there would have been plenty of sacks, and Baker Mayfield was not too happy about it.
Yeah, there was definitely a big defensive line presence across the O-line. I kind of noted whenever we went to the media to talk to Todd Bowles and then the three players that we got, some of the backup O-line guys were taken to the far side of the end zone and they were still doing drills. So one of those days, I
Yep.
think.
Yep.
But yeah, definitely big D-line presence. Ruben Bain looks like he's getting a lot of good pressure. And then, of course, David Walker has been kind of the talk of the town a little bit across these first few days. And I should say, got to wait to see how preseason goes when the lights come on. How's he going to play? These are all really important. A lot of people are saying, oh, LB3, LB2 even, but obviously see how he plays. But for right now, looks pretty good. Bucks like him. He's getting a lot of pressure there. And Kalijah Cansey got some pressures there as well during that practice yesterday, and then the day before that had a bit of a jailbreak too. So he's playing well. The defensive line is getting after it, and the offensive line has kind of got to tighten up and gel a little bit. Tristan Wirfs coming back will help with this. He's currently not practicing due to a hamstring injury he suffered during conditioning, but yeah, just got to tighten up a little bit, gel a little better, and that comes with playing with each other for the first time since they hadn't done it at all last season due to injuries.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we've talked about this restructured defensive line and how excited we are about it, how scary it looks on paper and everything, guys. So it's, great to be able to see that. It's great to see David Walker kind of bending and everything and moving like he was last year prior to that knee injury that he suffered, which is awesome. And without having Vita Vea in there. So like, does this open up, any realm of possibility that, hey, like this trade request could become more of a thing now that we're seeing put it into practice? And then on top of that, like we have seen, Ruben Bain a little bit too. We did see him kind of get clamped up in one-on-one drills going up against Luke Gadecki. So I'm sure that's, kind of one of those rookie things moving forward. But like, how serious can we be about what the rookie's going to be able to provide?
Yeah, here is the video right here I'll share with you guys of Ruben Bain going against Luke Gadecki yesterday. And I put out a list of guys that I wanted to keep a close eye on. And of course, it was Ruben Bain, but Luke Gadecki is always on the top of that list as well, just because he likes the pads on. He likes to be physical, and he'll let you know too as well. And certainly once we get into that joint practice, I'm sure up there in New York, not so far away now. But yeah, I mean, this is where Ruben Bain is going to really learn really quickly. I wish also too Tristan Wirfs was out there as well. I asked Ruben Bain yesterday, who is on the offensive line, who has been really hands-on with you, trying to, give you some pointers. And he pointed out Luke Gadecki as being one of those first people that he has been picking his brain on. And, it's great. You can pick his brain off to the side and then go and try to go at it and battle with one of the top tackles, personally to me, and the league still, is Luke Gadecki, just with the consistency that he brings to the table. So, yeah, I mean, this is where Ruben Bain's going to learn, but you could tell, there was a few times yesterday where we're in team drills and he gets to the backfield. You're like, oh, okay. You see the glimpses, and it's not like where I have to point out like Chris Braswell, where you knew that was going to take a little while. And now it's taken a long while. Ruben Bain fits where this defense and Todd Bowles wants to do, and it's going to be fun to watch more. But I thought this pass rush was pretty significant because Vita Vea is not out there too as well. So imagine adding that big boy, that big piece in there, and what Vita brings to this defense. So I've just been very pleased from what we saw, and it was pretty funny yesterday watching Baker and that IPF and that run game getting eaten alive, and he was pissed. I mean, he went over, and I saw, after they got done with their three plays and the second team went in, he went over to talk to Luke Gadecki. He went over to go talk to Malk. And I don't know what he said, couldn't read his lips, but he wasn't pleased. He wasn't happy with it. And he's been a very vocal guy. We'll talk a little bit more about his performance so far, but I've liked it. And he's been way more of using his words out loud, and I've been enjoying it.
I did want to ask something else about since we're on the topic of defensive line here. Kalijah Cansey said his goal is to play all 17 games. That's a stretch, especially for him, and because he's missed so much time since arriving to Tampa. So, do we think that as a realistic possibility for him? And what was kind of his demeanor when he was going through or like speaking with you guys during media availability?
Well, of course, that's what he wants to do, right? Because he kind of needs to, and he has been dealing with injuries constantly throughout the entirety of his career here in Tampa Bay so far. He's had some calf injuries, and then of course the pectoral tear that he had last year. I mean, yeah, it's possible, but you would think with his injury history, it's going to be really hard, right? And these things also come into play whenever you talk about contract extensions and deals, right? The Bucs trust Kancey enough to already pick up his fifth-year option. That's good, but if he continues to display that, he can't stay on the field and get healthy. Not to mention the fact that Kancey guy really is a passing down player only, right? I mean, he rushes the passer extremely well. We've seen it happen, but he's very small to be able to work in the run game. He is a niche, sort of limited player. You can be one of those if you're really productive, but if you're not on the field and you're also one of those, then that's a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that's going to be the big thing here is he's going to have to prove that he can stay healthy and that he can really contribute in the pass rushing game because he doesn't have much in the run stuffing game because of his size, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. So those are two things that kind of got to flip on its head if he wants to get a major contract in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotta stay healthy. I feel like he said he did some work this offseason and such, and he was already doing some things last year. I'd noticed after training camp practices, specifically working on his calf, and then of course just a freak accident with the pectoral injury happens early on last year. So the confidence factor is there from him, and man, I mean, if you don't have Vita to begin this season or whatever ends up going there, man, you're gonna have to rely a lot on Kancey on the inside. I want to stick to the defense. We'll go to offense in a minute, but let's go to linebacker. I feel like Alex Anzalone has just fit so well into this side of the ball. Not only just the way that he's played, but also to the way that he's been a vocal leader as well. There was one play specifically Anzalone had. It was in the red zone, and they had Bucky Irving going on a go route into the end zone. And Alex Anzalone's hip to hip with Bucky Irving causes the PBU, erases that touchdown potential there. And I asked Alex Anzalone after practice on that play, and he said, they tried me. I think I'm too old for this. But he's been stride and stride. He's been in great spots, good in the coverage as well. And you match that too with a strong defensive line presence. That certainly helps, makes you feel a lot better, and makes your guys like Zion McCollum, who we'll talk about in a minute, makes their lives easier. But everything starts in the trenches, and I feel like the linebackers have been feeding off of that, along with rookie linebacker Josiah Trotter, which I thought had his best day yesterday.
Yeah, he definitely had 2 TFLs right there back to back, and he's already showing that as that Mike linebacker. He can end up being that type of player for the Bucs early now. He needs to be able to consistently be able to do that and carry that momentum in the preseason and as camp goes along. But it looks like everything that they wanted out of Trotter, he has so far. He's got the athleticism, he's got the power, he's got the ability to shoot the gap, and that's what they drafted him for. So that's pretty encouraging, I think, especially seeing that. And we'll see tonight if he's able to kind of replicate that success and maybe more reps from him in coverage and kind of playing around. So far, it seems like Servasi is the starter in these reps so far, and Trotter is a rookie. That could change going forward, but I'd like to see him rotate a little bit more in there with the ones and see what he can do.
It seems like he's doing his job for why they drafted him, right? They had talked heavily in the most recent and the current episode. You kind of got a behind the scenes look at how that process went by, for Josiah Trotter and Bain specifically, how they wanted him to fill those holes, get those tackles for losses, things of that nature. So we're still going to have to wait to see how, he kind of transfers that into coverage abilities and things of that nature, which will come with time, I'm sure, with him, how he has to flip his hips, guard bigger guys if he needs to. But I'm very glad to hear that Alex Anzalone is kind of picking up right where Levante David left off, right? Like, that's huge. And even if he's hip to hip with Bucky Irving, that's not something that Levante David was able to do last year, right? Or maybe even a year before that, because he's kind of falling off with his age and things of that nature. So that's a great sign, in my opinion. If you're linebacker and Alex Anzalone is able to do that, sticking with his guys, understanding the defense, he's a smart player, former captain for the Detroit Lions. So that doesn't surprise me at all. So good to see that the defense is getting really good work in. And I'm sure, Logan, you're about to go to Zion McCollum, which I'm sure is your next winner.
Yeah. I mean, we got to talk about him because his best practice was literally yesterday. He had a one-on-one with Cameron Johnson there, kind of let's say, 20-yard route he had to cover, and he was all over it and came down with a really nice interception there. And also, too, had some good lockups and team drills as well. The quarterbacks just couldn't go against him, as mainly, of course, Baker Mayfield, but there was just no success for any wide receiver going against Zion. And I thought that he's had a nice, solid start to camp. He also had an interception. I think he's the only player that has picked off Baker Mayfield. That was really early on in camp. Baker's only had one interception. We'll talk a little bit more on him, but I thought he's looked solid. He's been physical, and he looks as athletic as we all know he can be. And so certainly whenever you have Benjamin Morrison and Jacob Parrish dealing with some things, a lot of this cornerback room has relied on him at the moment. And I think Baker's trying to go over there, but it's just not been successful whatsoever. So that's a really good start, I think, for Zion. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else defensively that has had a good start. I mean, Roseboom has had some flashes.
Antoine Winfield Jr. has been quite
AWJ.
a performer. Yes.
Consistent.
He's had some really good pass breakups. He's gotten in there. So Todd Bowles said that he was his number one performer over training camp so far, physically and mentally, right? We heard him say that. So he's playing really good football, and he kind of needs to, and he's got more room to play close to the ball this year than he did last year, and that's kind of where I think he really thrives as a playmaker, right? So that's going to be something to watch as we get into the brunt of the offseason and in a training camp and close to the preseason. That'll be fun to see if they could really get him up there, especially with guys like Keontae Scott there, guys like Tyke Smith able to do what he does, right? You can play with some formations where you get more defensive backs in the field, and that could really help Antoine Winfield Jr. kind of shine and do what he does best.
I think we can all agree that we would love a mentally and physically locked in Antoine Winfield Jr. In 2026. That would be absolutely huge.
That would be nice.
Oh, it would be phenomenal. Yeah, he had an acrobatic catch on yesterday. Yeah, he had a great grab, and it was a deep ball, and I don't know how he came away with it. I asked Bowles afterward if they were able to confirm that. I think he was kind of iffy on it, but I think he came down with it. The ref was right there watching on the line, so I watched the ref. He said pointing the other way, so that was an interception for Antoine. But you guys are right. I mean, a big season from Antoine there is big. He needs it, but also, too, this team needs it. But I'm telling you, a good pass rush makes this life such easier for a secondary. I mean, it's not even funny. I want to talk to Zion soon too, and just see how he has felt now that the pads are coming on. Just the presence there of that defensive line, how much that helps them.
I have one more quick thing on the secondary too, because it's kind of been mentioned over social media, and media availability as well, has been kind of the emergence of Pepe, there on the defensive back in the defensive back room. So what is he kind of showing? I know Todd Bowles said he's doing a really good job and working well to, kind of make this team, make this roster. What has he been doing in particular that you guys have seen at training camp that is kind of why Todd Bowles is able to say that right now?
Well, because Benjamin Morrison isn't playing, I think is the big one, right? He is doing this weird thing. I don't know. I don't think we've ever seen this before, but he will put on his jersey and his helmet. He'll get in line.
Talking about Benjamin.
To do indie drills, and then he just won't do them. He did actually do indie drills yesterday. That's the first time we've seen him do that. But he's still not doing 11v11 work, Morrison. So you have to think he's close, but it's kind of weird to see, we're going through the motions of being healthy and playing, but we're not actually doing it yet. So whatever the plan is there, you would hope soon. Todd Bowles said hopefully this week we would see him be able to get into those 11v11 drills and those team drills. So in the meantime, Williams has been pretty solid out there. That he's been the cornerback to replace Morrison. They have not done the whole, and we thought they would do this. They haven't done the Jacob Parrish to the outside thing that we thought they were going to do. Parrish is not playing outside, right? So they've had Williams in there, and he's performed pretty admirably. And last year he got to Tampa Bay, and it was mostly scout team work, and there was no really time to actually learn the defense because we were just trying to be a scout team guy and help prepare the team for the next week. And now he's got a little bit more time under his belt to really learn Todd Bowles' defense. And, he's playing pretty well in relief.
If you guys are here with us on YouTube, smack that like button. We're trying to get the 25 likes on the stream. You guys have been showing so much love to us, and we deeply appreciate it. We love training camp. We love giving some coverage to you guys, and you coming in with some comments, questions. We're going to try to get to as many comments as we can, so throw anything in there, and we'll try to bring it up here and answer as much as we can as we continue to go through winners and losers of the first week of training camp. Let's go over to the offensive side of the ball. I got to start off with Tez Johnson. Tez has showed up to camp and said, you know what? You might have drafted another rookie wide receiver. You're already got a full stacked room there. Well, I'm going to come make my presence felt. And sure damn enough, this dude has been flying around. He's been making some big grabs. He's made multiple touchdowns, and he's been telling us, and Todd Bowles has agreed, that he has just understood the playbook a lot more. And I think that's a great thing to hear. I mean, I would imagine he's one of the, offensive players that has really gotten things down with Zach Robinson as he's come in as the new offensive coordinator. And Zach likes it. He's been mainly connecting with Jake Browning, who's your newcomer at the backup quarterback position. And he got to have some opportunities with the first team yesterday just because also Emeka Egbuka was sidelined and J-Mac as well. No severe injuries there for those guys, just kind of resting them. But Tez Johnson getting a lot more opportunities there with the ones, connected with Baker Mayfield a few times. But just overall, I feel like that Tez Johnson has made a statement very early on. He caught a touchdown, did a backflip for all the fans. I mean, he has become a major fan favorite because he stayed after practice for another hour because I was waiting to talk to him after that strong 3-touchdown performance earlier last week. And I waited for him, and fans everywhere. So it's just great to see. And Tez has came to play, guys.
Absolutely. And, I think you're going to see him and Ted Hurst catch about 1 trillion passes in preseason, right? They're going to get the brunt of the work. Tez has looked pretty good. And like you mentioned, he's kind of buried in the depth chart a little bit here, but he's kind of making himself hard to deny so far over training camp. The game's slowing down for him quite a bit. We've seen him make some really good contested catches. We've seen him break free on routes. He's one of those guys that didn't test really fast athletic, but when you see him on the field and the releases he gets and his route running ability, he really can separate himself from a defensive back, right? So we've seen him catch touchdowns. He plays a lot bigger than his size. There are those guys like Devontae Smith and Tutu Atwell who can do that, and it's looking like Tez Johnson is one of those wide receivers. So that's one of the more interesting storylines heading into the regular season after preseason is done. Is like, what do you do with Tez Johnson? Are you going to try and get him there? We did see them doing some end arounds with him, and I don't think that's the right answer. But we'll see if he gets any more work outside of that. He's becoming hard to look at and say we're going to bury down the depth chart. He's playing really good football.
Yeah, I don't think you want a guy who Todd Bowles refers to as a $120 doing reverses in the backfield just to get lit up.
Meets 280. Yeah.
Yeah, just to get lit up by an outside linebacker coming off of the edge with a free run at you. But yeah, it's great news, right? Like we've all talked about, the treasure chest that the Buccaneers have at wide receiver, right? Like they're just almost 5-6 deep there in the room, which is absurd to say, right? Like it's crazy to say, and then you're trying to add him in. Like, how do you get him, available to get some meaningful snaps that it's going to help your team be successful, especially on offense? So where it's going to be, I don't know. The good thing is that if the Buccaneers do go down with an injury or two, you've got plenty of guys to be able to step up, and Tez being a former, 1,000-yard receiver at the University of Oregon only helps you. And his ability to separate, as River mentioned, is only going to help you, right? So this bodes extremely well for what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have going into the 2026 season. We've seen we've heard about Ted Hurst being able to pick up things relatively quickly since coming in as a rookie. And when you spoke with Tez, Logan, I think he mentioned something about, him having a full off season now has allowed him to kind of slow things down a little bit more, be able to understand things that are happening in front of him a little bit more. So that's exciting to hear as well, especially for a guy like Tez, who's young, was drafted in the 7th round, was thought of to be a developmental type of guy, already showing that he is developing and learning things at a much faster pace than potentially previously thought of. So that's great news for Tez. I'm happy for him. Guy's an electric factory, always bringing the juice from, the backflips to just on the field, just being able to watch him play. Remind you of Bucky Irving, right? Like whenever he touches the ball, like what's going to happen? What's he going to do with it? So really exciting. Love to hear it. The Buccaneers are well off there in the wide receiver room. So glad to see that he's doing well.
Yeah, here's Madison saying Tez is quick, not fast, but he still runs hard and capable of stretching the field. And Tez will tell you, though, that I think every wide receiver will. I actually asked Tez because we had Ted on here on our interview, and I said, Ted told us he's the fastest. The rookie said he's the fastest in the wide receiver room, and Tez said, that ain't the case. I'm the fastest in that room. And I'm sure Jalen McMillan would say the same thing, and Emeka Egbuka. So they're competitive with one another. But that's the group you have. And there is some speed. There's some twitchiness in there like Tez has that is really nice, and a gadgety guy that Baker Mayfield can go to. And then you've got, Ted Hurst, who can fly, and he's starting to marinate into this offense and get more ones opportunities since, like I had mentioned, some of those starting guys were out yesterday. So this wide receiver room is loaded, it's stacked, and that's why we'll talk a little bit further on it with about Baker Mayfield. But let's finish off. I want to bring up Jalen Daniels in here, and I'm not going to say over here he's flying around making some major passes, and man, he looks like he could be fighting for a QB2 spot. No, that's not the case. As we've been telling you guys, the plan all along is to let him kind of understand and get a feel for what this NFL talent is. I don't know how to describe it, but really kind of also marinate him in, because it's kind of like Ted Hurst a little bit, coming from a lower Power 4, like a lower division in football, Ted Hurst specifically. But for Jalen Daniels, his biggest thing, undrafted free agent, yes, he played a lot of football, but he's still going to the league now, is going to have to get used to some of these defenses. And which is pretty funny, I saw a rep for him where Todd Bowles had put the first team defensive line on him, and he did a smart thing. He just checked it down. I believe it was just to the tight end, a smart move there because they were flying all over him. But I've really liked the way that he has looked in the pocket. The first day, though, he did make a throw and was just kind of running and then jumped up and tossed it, and it kind of goes nowhere for him. Since then, he's cleaned up. He's gotten a little bit
more
aura
patient. Though. Had aura.
He does. Yeah. It's the aura. It's the Baker Mayfield aura. He's got the Baker Mayfield aura. But his best play was literally yesterday, where he was going team drill, which means 11 on 11, and the defensive line was getting back there. There was just not much happening, and he's getting pushed backwards, and having to roll out, and then on his back foot is able to throw a laser over there to Eric Rivers, the rookie from Georgia Tech, on the sideline, and that would have been a first down, and a really nice play from Jalen Daniels. And just from what we've seen, I've seen some nice solid growth. Like I said, not looking to compete for a QB2 spot, but it's someone that the staff really likes, and the energy that he brings. I love the way that he heads into warm-ups. He's got a big smile on his face, dapping guys up, enjoying himself, and so far it's starting to kind of translate a good bit onto the field.
He's always, before training camp, he runs up and down where the fans are, and he goes, "Come on, come on."
Have you seen why he does that? It's Baker Mayfield that continues to send him and all of the rookies. He sent Billy Schlauth over there too.
I didn't know.
Yeah, you'll have to check that out. He'll probably do it tonight, but just watch Baker, and he specifically he'll say, "All right, go now," and Jalen has to go over there and hype up the crowd and everything. And he sent Billy Schlauth, the rookie from Notre Dame, the offensive lineman, over there to hype up the line earlier, and Baker's just over there smiling, loving it. So yeah, Jalen just loves the energy though, and it's a perfect person to do that.
Yeah, we've talked about Jalen Daniels a lot on this show, and I think what we've talked about is going to come into fruition if that's little, and that he's clearly more mobile. He offers more of an athletic upside than Connor Bazelak does. And when it comes to scout team work, which he'll have to do as a QB3 in Tampa Bay, he can portray a wider variety of quarterbacks in the NFL with his mobility. And that's going to be a really big thing that could end up winning him this QB3 job. But so far, based on what we've seen from him, I think he's definitely got the upper hand on this QB3 competition over Connor Bazelak, and that's going to be pretty crucial to maintain going into this final frame here, especially when preseason comes and they're going to get preseason reps. That's going to be pretty big as well. But for right now, I think it's hard to say that Jalen Daniels is not winning this competition. I think he's definitely primed to be that QB3, but we'll see how the rest of camp goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love to see it, or you love to see it, right? I mean, the athleticism's obviously there, but it's going to come down to the decision making. So hearing that he was able to, take on that defensive line, the first team defensive line from the Bucs, and then make a smart decision, right? And then decide like, okay, well, like this is happening, I can't do anything, but like I got to check it down. I don't have to try and force it. I don't have to do anything of that nature, right? And that's probably what Tampa Bay wants to see. That's what Todd Bowles wants to see. It's what Zach Robinson wants to see. It's what everybody wants to see. Are you going to do that instead of putting the ball in danger and take care of it? So that's a great sign for him moving forward. He's got to continue it once he gets under live action with these, mutual training camps that are about to happen. Once he gets to see it in preseason as well, that'll be the real tall tale sign of what direction are the Bucs really heading in when it comes to Jalen Daniels. But all signs point to him doing very well right now. That touchdown that he threw off his back foot, probably don't want him throwing off his back foot all that much.
Just first down. Just first down.
First down. Okay. Still,
we'll take it.
You probably don't want him throwing off his back foot as with any quarterback. But if you're able to make a play and you have the arm strength and the arm talent to be able to do so, then so be it. As long as you are knowing that you're not going to put the ball in harm's way, like Baker throwing across his body on the sideline, like same situations, right? Yeah. But awesome to hear that he's doing what he needs to do to be able to make this team in some sort of way or fashion. So we'll continue to monitor it.
Mm-hmm. I thought you brought up a good point, Caleb, and I was talking to River about this where, you said this was about a month ago or a little bit, talking about Jalen Daniels, where you said, eventually he is going to have to break out of that shell and take those shots and see what he can do with his arm further and longer down the field. And I think we're slowly getting into that progression with Jalen. And right now, just taking care of the ball is the number one priority for any quarterback. So that's step one. And then, starting to get out of that comfort zone, which is going to have to be looking down the field longer, not getting so antsy in the pocket. So it's something just to keep an eye on him, monitor. But I thought I'd mention him on here because he is just a rookie quarterback, and it's not fun going against Todd Bowles' defense with different guys flying at you.
That comfortability factor is huge. So like once he's more comfortable in what he's doing, I'm sure we'll start to see those bigger shots down the field a little bit more.
100%. Anyone else on the offensive side? I feel like if you're going to name a winner or loser offensively, defensively to begin camp, it has been on the defensive side. Now, has there been some touchdowns and, Baker able to connect here and there? Absolutely. But it's hard to evaluate the run game because, I think we've been high on Kenny Gainwell. He's looked like exactly how we kind of projected him to be. This is why it's not really too much of a shock to us. And I know some national people come visit practice and they're like, oh, Kenny Gainwell, man, he's going to be a big instrumental piece on this offense. We told you. we told you. We've been telling you.
We did.
And this is no shocker to us or any of you listeners on here that listen to us weekly. Shout out to you guys. But Kenny Gainwell is going to be a massive piece of this offense. I mean, there's a chance where he gets more reps in games than Bucky Irving will. But the defense just ate up the run game yesterday. We'll see if those guys can bounce back. And I'm sure Baker wants to get his offensive line back into a groove tonight. So that would be really interesting to watch. The guys have a day off tomorrow. So it's not like they're just going to kind of just play patty cake. We got to get going. We got to get that run game going. And I'm sure they want to have Tristan Wirfs back. That helps that offensive line a lot. But I want to see better push. And when we go to, unless you got anything else offensively from you guys.
Well, I was just going to ask, I've been seeing reports that Kenny G has been kind of used way more in the passing game than in the running game. What has that looked like from your vantage point compared to like what I'm seeing in social media and things of that nature? And then also, we didn't touch on a whole lot of losers. I know it's really hard on the offensive side of the ball right now, considering the offensive line's kind of missing. But who is kind of letting something slip away now that we have kind of we're in the middle of week 2?
I'd say I was going to mention there because I was going to kind of go into the losers there for me is that interior offensive line. I feel like they've got to get it together a little bit more. I'm not saying it's just off of one day, literally. So just take it for a grain of salt there. But like I said, Baker wasn't happy. He wasn't pleased with it at all. And the run game was nowhere yesterday. From Bucky, Kenny, anybody could have been back there. There was just nothing there. And then you add in Anzalone and Trotter and Dennis, they were flying in there as well to the gaps. Like, it was just really well played from the defense. But the interior offensive line has got to be better. And then also, too, when your tackles, Chakuma had 2 false starts. He had to be taken out. Actually, I don't think we even saw him back out there. He was with the first team to begin team yesterday, has 2 false starts. He's gone. He's taken off of the field, and what School gets in there for the rest of the first team reps. I mean, that's something that has to be cleaned up. I thought he looked good whenever we saw them out there going LL versus DL. I liked his blocking there. But other than that, things got to be cleaned up. Tons of penalties too yesterday. It was ugly, mainly offensively as well. I didn't get a chance to ask Todd that because I wasn't over there, but it was ugly. Penalties. That's got to be cleaned up as well. But those are kind of my losers on the offensive side at the moment.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up Devin Culp too, the tight end. We saw him drop a pass yesterday, and to be honest, he can't really afford to be doing a lot of that going
it hits
forward.
both your hands too.
Yeah, Bauer Sharp is looking to take that move tight end spot, and it's looking like, Culp didn't play during OTAs and mandatory minicamp because I think the first day of OTAs, Logan, that he had an injury, kind of got banged up a little bit, went back inside to the indoors facility, but he needs to be able to compete with Bauer Sharp, and so far the only thing I'm seeing is that Sharp's still impressing and Culp's not. So that's definitely someone who, if you're talking about slipping away, that might be the type of person that you're looking at.
Yeah, and Kenny Gainwell, I know you had mentioned him. Yeah, definitely a lot of usage on air with him. No shocker to us. That's what they did at Pittsburgh with him, and it just makes too much sense in there as well. But yeah, a lot of pony sets. You've gotten both running backs out there as well. They're using him in the run game too, but you can definitely tell that Kenny is going to be not just like a piece, but a fun piece to watch as well. And you got to think too, special teams too. Here's a video though of Bauer Sharp right here, and just seeing him up close. In training camp, we get a lot more closer than we do in OTAs. And, he's a big boy. I didn't think he was that big.
He's an athletic specimen. Whenever you look at him, you're like, oh, man. Yeah, you can tell. He's built different.
And I keep on seeing comments too, and I read all of you guys' comments and everything. And trust me, I see all the comments about our microphones when we're out there for instant reactions. I'm working on it. I'm trying. We do
gotta work on that.
That's what we've got for right now. We're on the losers list of that. But we also have been dealing with a lot of rain, wind. We're not used to this at camp, but microphones will be fixed. I promise. But the comments are saying Bauer Sharp, he shows up in fall camps in college and preseason, all that kind of stuff, but just wait till we get to games. Well, okay, we'll see. I mean, he's just going to have to prove everybody wrong, but so far, so good.
He's an highly athletic prospect. That's why they drafted him, right? Someone in the comments, I think Glenn said that. Bless me. Glenn said that he was, QB 2 or 3 seasons ago. And he's a project, right? He really is. He's a very raw developmental sort of project, but those of you who take chances on, and you can see why he's that developmental project when you look at him. He is very strong, very fast. I mean, you look at the way he's built, he definitely looks like he's got a different sort of frame to everybody else. And that's what the Bucs are going to work on kind of developing. And so far, it's hard not to be impressed with him. And so far, it's hard to be impressed with Devin Culp, I think, given how little he's seen and what we have seen of him. So that's something to consider as well.
My loser, and there's not a lot of them, but it's going to be Benjamin Morrison. It's pretty plain and clear at the moment because going into camp, we were expecting for a battle between Jacob Parrish and Benjamin Morrison. But Benjamin, I was in total shock that we were going to see him available.
I disagree partially here, actually, because I think if anything, it feels like Morrison just has that job, doesn't he? Like when he comes back, he's just going to come in and take it, and it is concerning that he's not playing. It's very concerning.
That's the main thing. Like he can take the job, but he might not even play. I feel like, he could be labeled
when he
CB1,
walks back into the 11v11s
or CB2
have that job. And Parrish, interestingly for me, isn't really playing outside. They've got him playing nickel, and that's what he's doing. So For me, I mentioned this in a few articles. Like Parrish played a really good season at nickel corner last year. He had 2 picks, he had 2 sacks, he had multiple TFLs. He had a pretty good rookie season. So to me, you can't really afford to not play Jacob Parrish, right? If you want Keontae Scott to be your nickel, then you just place Parrish. What do you do? Well, if you want Parrish to still be your nickel, then Keontae Scott's not really doing anything. And what do you do there? So curious to see how that kind of keeps going. Now, Parrish didn't practice yesterday. He had lower body soreness. He might be back tonight. Probably not. We'll see. But he was too good to kind of just move to the side. So what they do with him, it is interesting to me that with Morrison out, you're not seeing Parrish on the outside. You're seeing Pepe Williams on the outside. They had Aiden Garnes yesterday, I think, on the outside for a lot of the work as well. No Jacob Parrish. So interesting to see what they do with him.
It's a real intriguing aspect of it, right? Because like after the draft, you're like, okay, this makes sense, with everything that's going on with the offseason and free agency up until after the draft. You're like, okay, well, Keontae Scott's just going to automatically move into that nickel spot. Parrish is obviously going to be pushed outside. And maybe that's what the thought process was from the front office as well, right? Like this is going to be, great for us. But now things have kind of changed and shifted a bit now that we've made it to training camp. So I think that's probably going to be one of the more intriguing things to follow as we continue through this and into the preseason.
100%. Let's jump over to a conversation about Baker Mayfield and his performance so far, because man, has it been a whirlwind of more off the field drama than anything. We heard his comments and he was not happy with the contract negotiations. He goes off and a lot of people that cover the team are kind of stunned by it. He was very transparent on it, and that is kind of the Baker way, but more than usual, he was voicing his opinions and, brought up also Vita Vea into the mix, say this is sort of a trend here with this organization. And that was just kind of shocking that was said out loud.
Well, I mean, waiting to the last minute, is absolutely a trend for this organization. It's not something, they do not like to get things done ahead of time.
And to be fair, that's worked for them largely. Right.
For the most part,
when you've got... they didn't give Mike Evans a new extension. He played it out and they gave it to him. They didn't give Winfield a new extension. He played out and he gave it to him. Right. And it worked out. And Wirfs, I thought it was interesting that Mayfield used Wirfs specifically as kind of a example, because Wirfs held out for a very little amount of time and then they made him the highest paid tackle in the league. So, it's been some fun drama.
I think the difference there, though, some of these guys are labeled as, Buccaneers for life or whatever, right? Like, these are your staples of the organization, if you will. So, they feel like it's maybe okay to be able to do that with these guys because they know that they're loyal to the organization as a whole already and are probably most likely going to come back. I don't think this is necessarily the scenario here with Baker or Vita at this point, even though, both of them can be seen as cornerstones. But are they really Buccaneers for life? We probably would think Vita Vea as that. But again, trade requests came in. So it's very interesting to me that this is kind of how things are going. You would think that with the constantly evolving markets of every single position on the football field, how it continues to just explode. I mean, we're seeing the whole thing with the guards now too. So all this is happening. Wouldn't you rather get a deal done sooner with a guy, so that way you're not having to pay that premium price that's going to go up to 10, 20 million later, in a year or two? That's crazy to me that ownership doesn't see that, and they're kind of just hanging out by the window, just waiting for, hey, we're ready to talk now. And it's the pie's already done cooled off, right? It's not hot anymore. So it's just real interesting to me that they still do that, but it's worked for them in the past, as we've mentioned, but it doesn't seem like it is in these two scenarios. That's for sure.
Yeah, Caleb and I think, have differing opinions on this whole situation, which is fun. I think the Bucs are doing the right move to wait it out. And all Baker Mayfield has to do is give us the season that he says he's going to give us, and then that will solve all of his problems. So I do think, though, we could talk about this. There are some people saying out of spite, he'll go play for another team. I don't think that's the case. Even if a team offers him more money than the Bucs are, I think people kind of underrate how hard it is to move away from a place if you're a free agent. When you've got your family embedded in the sort of culture and the community, right? For sure. I think if like a team gives Mayfield like $5 million more a year and the Bucks are a little lower, then he'll take that, right? So I wouldn't worry about Baker going, I'm gonna go play for Atlanta. I don't see that really being the case. And if he does ball out, and the Bucks will know they have what they have, and they'll probably be happy to give him a bigger deal. So I would be surprised if Mayfield is not a Tampa Bay Buccaneer going forward, but if he gets hurt or if he plays poorly while getting hurt, which he kind of sometimes does, put himself in harm's way to play like that, then I think that's the only scenario where you start really thinking about stuff, especially if the Bucks don't have a great record and Todd Bowles gets fired or some other coaching staff gets fired. Then you're looking at, you had the flexibility to at least give yourself some options depending on what a new coach or a new coaching staff would want to bring. So bottom line, though, for Baker Mayfield, it's all ball, right?
Right.
So,
I mean,
for now, it's all ball. And all he has to do is go play, and he will get what he's looking for.
At the end of the day, I think both can be right? Like both things can be right here. Like I think Baker Mayfield has every right to feel the way that he does about the whole situation because he did give them this timetable and he has been called the franchise quarterback from top to bottom within this organization, right?
That's true.
And in my opinion, if I'm being called the franchise quarterback, a 2-year deal is 100% a slap in the mother effing face. Like that does not scream franchise quarterback to me, right? Like that does not. Like, oh, you just want me as a 2-year rental? Like I've got to go prove myself yet again when I've done that for the past 3 years. I played 8 to 9 games last year with my body pretty much broken. I couldn't even throw the ball 40 yards down the field because I have a big bruise from my elbow all the way up to my shoulder. But yet I'm still continuing to put my health on the line, my body, my career on the line every single Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever it is for you. And you're coming with me and just slapping down a 2-year deal. Yeah, it might be around that $50 million area per year that he wants, right? But 2 years, dude, are you shitting me? Like, no. Like to me, when I'm putting myself in his shoes, that's not cool, right? Like you're not going to sit here and call me your franchise quarterback. You're going to continuously post me on social media, use me for all this and everything else, but then you're just going to only offer me a 2-year deal, right? Then I get it from the Bucs side too, right? Like it's understandable why you only want to give him that short of a duration. What happens going back to the coaching thing with River? If that all falls apart, what happens if a new staff wants to go a different direction? They don't run an offense that really fits well into Baker's mold. So on and so forth. Maybe you're not wanting to guarantee that because you do know the highs and lows that come with Baker Mayfield as well, right? So both sides can be right in this scenario. Now you got to figure out where can we meet in the middle. Right now, it's not going to happen. It's all about ball. Baker wants to be here. The Buccaneers want Baker. Now let's figure it out. It's going to happen after the season. It's not going to happen right now. It's not going to happen during the season. It's going to happen afterwards. The Buccaneers want him. Right? Baker wants to be in Tampa. He's had 2 kids here now. Like he's got his whole roots are in Tampa Bay
best
right now.
Friends, Tristan Wirfs, a lot of the guys are.
Right? So it's gonna happen. I agree with River. I don't think Baker Mayfield will be on any other team than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think it'll come down to years. And I think that's the biggest sticking point, right? Number 1, years. Number 2, guarantees. Once those 2 things get figured out, you can wash your hands of the situation and move ahead, right? And then everything will be done. But yeah, I understand everybody's frustrations on both sides.
And I would say there's some rhetoric online, especially coming from Baker Mayfield himself, that the Bucs cannot use the franchise tag on him. They absolutely can. And that is definitely a option going forward in this offseason. If you tag him twice, that's basically a $50 million deal for 2 years like they offered him initially, right? So that'll be an option as well. They have options if they want to keep him. Glenn, you just mentioned they won't blow it all up. There's too much talent. There's a decent amount of talent, I think. I think at some point the Bucs do maybe need to conduct a bit of a rebuild, and we'll see how it goes from there. And maybe they should have already done it. Maybe they should commit later. But that might be coming sooner than we think. So, and if you want to do that, would Baker Mayfield want to be a part of that? Would anybody want Baker Mayfield to be a part of that? Those are things to ask. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, this has just been such of a distraction. I would say more from the national side, just because they got to get the clicks, and we understand that, the viewership side of things. But that's why I always suggest you guys try to stick to the local beat people here. There's a lot of great sites that cover the Bucs, and we appreciate you guys for picking us and picking your time out of your day to listen to us. But we hear things and we're there on site, so national pundits, we know how it is. One of my favorite guys is Stephen A. Smith. I love him, but I like it because he entertains me, and I don't take about 50% of what he's saying.
Him and old Gerald McCoy went at it this morning on First Take, so it was pretty fun to watch.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I mean,
talking about
Gerald,
Baker?
Yeah, and obviously that's the talking point or whatever. But like Gerald, obviously history with the organization, and he kind of had his own run-ins with ownership towards the end of his career and everything. So, but he kind of is on the same stance as the local media, as we all are. We see both sides of it, but we think that this is what's going to happen at the end of the day. Whereas, Stephen A. and the national pundits believe that, Baker's either wrong for doing this or the organization's wrong. And it's like, you got to pick a side. So that's kind of where they were split there. So, I mean, with, Gerald's direct connection to the organization, the franchise as a whole, it's easy to understand why he has a full, understanding of the lay of the land when it comes to both Baker and the Glazier family and what they're doing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you know what we need to do is show some love over to our friends at Prize Picks. We're going to make some quick picks right now. We got some NFL that we can jump into, thankfully. I don't know if we can even – oops, let me fix this. Let me go over to – I was thinking – let's go over here. Passing touchdowns. What do they have at Baker right here on Prize Picks? You guys can use code HMA. If you're a new user, play 5, get $150 back. If you win with that lineup, it's a great deal. You can do all kinds of things on here. You can even go into culture. I think if you watch Big Brother, you can do selections and picks on the winners of that. You can jump, of course, over to baseball right now. It's all over the place. But once we get into NFL, I mean, this is going to be the place to be. But they have a great deal happening right there. The link is in the description below. But I was going to go over to Baker Mayfield. He threw, 26 touchdowns last season on Prize Picks. He's at 24.5. With that wide receiver room and Zach Robinson, you want to give me that more right now?
I think I agree. I think
Kenny Gainwell
agree.
in the passing game.
Yeah, I don't know how much more, but I think over 24.5 might be what you're looking at. I think that's a good go for.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree. I think going more there is the right move.
What about? Let's see. Let's go over to receptions.
You don't want me to talk about Caleb Williams. Just switched over. Like, we can't do it.
No? What? Not a fan?
I think there is no more prime regression candidate in the NFL than perhaps Caleb Williams this upcoming season.
It's going to happen this year? Major regression?
So. I think so.
Dang. I don't know.
I think so.
Let's see. All right. Mecca Igbuka receptions. Where are we at here? They got 70.5 on receptions.
Okay.
Wow. What was his number last year? Is that what you're looking up?
That's what I'm looking up for now. He caught 63 receptions.
63 last year. As a rookie, had to jump in when Mike Evans was out, Jalen McMillan out.
And that's with him doing absolute shit down the back half. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Mecca Igbuka's biggest thing he's going to have to work on, I think, is his ability to face man coverage. He was very bad at it last year. If you go see some clips, I know Josh Capo from Pewter Report has been putting out a few of these, but like seeing like Kobe Bryant on the Falcons, who's like 170 or 180 pounds, just like, pressing him at the line and knocking him down. Like those are things that you got to be able to fix. So that's my one thing I'm probably looking for him to see if he can really show he can do that in the next level. That being said, I do think he'll get the lion's share of the targets. I think he'll be effectively the wide receiver one in this offense. I would go more than 70.5 receptions.
Okay. We'll rock with that. We'll roll with that. Let's do one more. And let's see. Receiving touchdowns. Did we already do Mike? Yeah, I feel like we already did Mike. God, Jackson Smith, 8.5. Justin Jefferson, Drake London.
It's got to be like a Kenny Gainwell receptions or something.
Yeah, let's just see if we can search Kenneth Gainwell. No, they don't have him on here
They
yet.
like
They're
Kenneth
sleeping.
Walker. They like
Yeah,
Kenneth
they like Kenneth
Walker.
Walker. What about
Yeah,
over
Bucky
here?
Irving. Give me some Bucky Irving. Give me some
Let's
Bucky
see what we got on
Irving.
Bucky here. 5 rushing touchdowns, expected to get 800 rushing yards, or 7.5 rushing plus receiving touchdowns.
Man, they know what they're doing setting these lines. Whew.
Yeah, those are like,
Those are good. Those are good.
Which one would you ride with the most here?
Oh man.
well, you guys are
guys-
at practice.
Yeah.
Hey, well, this Bucks defensive line is ruining any kind of like hope where of like, oh, Bucky Irving did have one kind of big run
7.5
there at camp so far.
rush and receiving touchdowns. Ugh. Well, I mean, if you look at last year, he didn't play for he only had 1 touchdown. Oh man.
Injury plagued year.
Injury plagued year. He had a lot in 2024, but I don't know if he's gonna have. I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go over 5. Give me over
5?
7.5. Give me over 7.5. Give me over 7.5.
Yeah, so
Right
looking at it, in his rookie season, he had 8 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And I think they'll use Gainwell a lot in the red zone.
And then in 2025, he had 1 rushing and 3 receiving.
Yeah, so he can do all that. I think he generates explosives from outside of the red zone. I think he might be able to do it. I think he might be able to do it.
Okay. Now, what about we have to pick another player from another team? So
Mike Evans, let's do it.
2 100-plus receiving yard games. Does that happen more or less? We'll just stick to that right now.
It's too flat.
2 100-plus. So, yeah, you just got to have a 100 or more. Does he have 2 of them in the tank?
I think he does. I think
so, too.
I think so, too. With what they're dealing with right now in San Francisco, dude, they're gonna have to feed him. They're gonna have to feed him. So, like, it's...
Yep.
They will.
As long as
I don't know how productive he'll be across the whole season. I do think he's an older wide receiver who has injury concerns heading into the season. So I do predict Mike Evans will miss some games. I think that's just, and it doesn't matter what team he would have gone to. At San Fran doesn't matter. I think he probably will. But 2 100-plus games, I think he's good for 17. If he misses half the season, I think he can still do that. Right.
Yeah.
So
I think he's got it.
That's what I'm thinking.
Shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring this episode of Hear the Cannons. Like I said, down below, play 5, get $150 back. If you win as a new user, you got to use that code HMA, though. We appreciate them. We'll be with Prize Picks all throughout the football season. Gentlemen, let's finish off here, and we'll get to a lot of y'all's questions, too, as well. But I wanted to point on Vita Vea, and Jeremy Fowler of ESPN put out a report this morning, the latest on what's going on there. Says that both sides are currently frustrated with how things have played out. Tampa does not want to trade away Vita Vea.
Right.
That's quite obvious. But yeah, Vita Vea, not so happy as we've seen. We've been out there at the practices. He's still involved there. He's tagged along with the rest of the defensive line. We've seen him smiling. He's ran into Todd Bowles a few times. I haven't seen Jason Light and him run into each other like we've seen Baker Mayfield and Jason Light run into each other.
He was standing out in the rain. Like,
yeah,
what are we doing? Like, so I mean, if that doesn't tell you commitment, like it screams it to me. Like, why would you be doing that if you've requested a trade?
He's out there.
You don't want to be here, and you're being held out because of your back or whatever. Why the hell are you outside standing in the rain?
We've talked about this ad nauseum. I think the biggest thing that the Bucs could do is get a really short patchwork deal in for Vea, maybe some more guarantees for this season. Let him play in Tampa Bay for this year, and then next year let him walk. And I thought before the season, and I've got the articles to prove it over at BucsGameday, he would be a cap casualty next offseason anyway in free agency, right? But now especially, they do kind of really need him to play this year. And it would be really nice to get a really good trade package for him. If you could get a second, I mean, that's incredible, right? But then you don't have Vita Vea on your defensive line. And he can still produce this year at least, and for all the rest of their defensive additions to mean something, it's kind of imperative that Vita Vea does play this year. So you gotta figure that they'll work something out. I've got an article coming up right after the show's over. Jeremy Fowler spoke a little bit on this. They said they're not worried about Vita Vea being out now, but talk to him again in 1 or 2 weeks, and then it might start to get a little worrisome, right? So something could be happening with Vita Vea and the Bucs sooner rather than later. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, this is what Jeremy Fowler had to say. He said, "I'm told Vita Vea is very dug in here and is prepared to wait this out, but for how long? That typically depends on a variety of factors, including a player's resolve with the threat of losing game checks approaching. That's hard to measure at this stage, but he currently has zero intention to play under his deal or without a trade, I'm told. The Bucs have no plans to trade him despite league interest. Something has to give here." So it's just both sides fighting with one another back and forth, and something's going to have to snap here. But, we got some reports earlier on a couple of days ago that, yes, there are some teams intrigued. Of course, they're going to be intrigued. I mean, there's a lot of teams that are going to want a guy like this that can do what he can do on a field. I mean, he's a different type of prototype animal. He's a freak. But I mean, he looks like he's in really good shape too, as well. As you can tell right here in this video, he was exchanging some words with Todd Bowles. And like you had mentioned there, Caleb, I noticed him out there hanging out in the one-on-ones in the downpouring rain. And, he's been hands-on with some of the defensive linemen. He had his arm over Reuben Bain Jr. yesterday when I was in the IPF watching. Like, he's there, and, he's had his smiles and such and whatnot. But the longer this goes, something's going to snap, and is it going to go in the favor of the Bucs able to get him on a deal like you just said, River, to where he plays this year, or do the Bucs feel confident enough of what they have on the defensive line? I think all of us on here don't feel confident in that factor. No matter how strongly you feel about Ashawn Robinson and Nacho coming in with Elijah Roberts, and Devontae Capar, just a true rookie. Like, you need this piece on your defense. So it would certainly be a major L for the Bucs to not have Vita on this defense. So it's something we're going to continue to follow. I mean, I have my binoculars. I'll be out there tonight watching once again. I just like keeping an eye on just the little facial expressions we see. And I do the same thing for Baker Mayfield. I watch Jason Light. It's just those little things that you can take away from. But here, you got him running into bowls and stuff. And, so far it's been smiles on the field for when they're talking to each other and such. But we're just going to see how long that lasts, because you got to think, and I think in Todd Bowles' shoes, and Jason Light too, but you did all this restructuring of the defensive line and everything, and you felt confident going into the season with this. And it's like Todd Bowles is like, damn, man, I mean, my job's on the line and I'm about to lose. I could lose, or I don't even have my best defensive player that, I build my defense around out there right now. It's just got to be, it's irritating. And I'm sure he's not happy too. He's got his arms crossed. Not a fan of all this. I don't blame him. Real quick, let's go through some quick hitters really quickly here, as we've got an hour here into the show. Matheson saying, any word on when J.J. Roberts will get onto the field? That's an interesting one there, River. Have you kept an eye on any of J.J. Roberts out there on the field?
I have not.
That's
supposed to kind of go in for safety. He's more of a safety and a nickel type of guy. Right now, they're running Parrish in the nickel and Scott in the nickel pretty frequently. Haven't seen too much of him yet. We'll be on the lookout definitely tonight. That's a player the Bucs like a lot. They've mentioned they like him a lot, but obviously got to see him on the field.
Yeah, been very quiet. I'm glad you brought that up, Madison. We will try to give you guys an update on our instant reaction tonight, which if you guys haven't yet, we do an instant discussion once practice ends, and it'll be really almost right after practice after we talk the Bowls, and that'll be around 9:30ish for you guys here on YouTube. So definitely hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on that. Let's go over Caden Fordham. With Caden Fordham showing up, could we see him fighting for a roster spot? I'll lean that one to you, River, on that.
Well, you see him make some pretty good plays, Trey. He did a pretty good pass breakup 2 days ago. And with this linebacker room, I think so. Definitely needs a lot of rotation in there. Could be a useful special teams player. It's going to be tough given, you got Dennis, Roseboom, Anzalone, Trotter. Nick Jackson's going to be in there, right, in that competition. Then Fordham's going to be in there too. But there's going to be a lot of special teams value to be had there. It's definitely possible that he could fight for it.
Mm-hmm.
He's been good so far.
Mm-hmm. DE saying Malk still needs to put back, get into football shape. So he said it close to 10 when we were talking to him during mandatory minicamp, but then he was telling me that he felt like he was being a little over exaggeration there, and says that he's really probably up only 5 pounds or so. But he said he's feeling good. He's moving well. And the biggest thing is if he can move well on that leg that he got injured. So things are fine there, I believe, with Cody. And plus, when you're going through camp, you're going to trim down anyways, and he'll be just fine. Bat says, I'm worried about Tristan. Is it a hamstring or is it a cartilage in his knee? Cartilage doesn't heal, and he underwent the stem cell experimental surgery last year. Has there been any updates? No updates there. Maybe we'll hear and maybe ask Bulls today if they feel like, maybe after this day off on Wednesday, we'll see Tristan get into, out on the field and such. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think what they'll do is, see where he's at going into that joint practice. I don't think he'll participate in that, but it'll be after the joint practice where you'll start to see him ramp up things and get out there.
We have no indication that it's cartilage in his knee. Mm-hmm. And as far as I know, and just immediately looked, I don't recall Tristan Wirfs having stem cell surgery. I know Ryan Jensen tried that when his knee was having trouble, but I don't recall that being something that Tristan Wirfs, unless I'm wrong and I can't find anything on that, or I missed something, but we have no indication that the knees has anything to do with it at this point. It's just a hamstring. Soft tissue injuries take a while to heal, especially going through the heat in Tampa Bay. So that's the update that we have. Todd Bowles gave us a classic. He said it's day to day, week to week.
There we go, baby. We're almost close to month to month.
That doesn't mean anything. So we'll see. If he's still not practicing by the time they head to New York for that joint practice, that's probably something to monitor with it, I think. But for now, it's the beginning of August, and he's Tristan Wirfs.
So. Yeah, and I don't think that, he would be practicing in New York heading into it. Like if they're trying to take it slow, he doesn't need to necessarily push himself. They know what they got with him, right? And they're not going to throw him into those joint practices just for him to get re-injured again by an opposing team before the season actually starts. So I would expect him probably to be on the field after that. But if he's not after that joint practice with the Jets, then is when I would start to worry about how long is this really going to take and how serious is it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Go through a last few of these here. This is our guy Talking Bucks coming in here. When I saw BMO doing drills on IPF 2 days ago, he was moving pretty well and showing a great back pedal. Maybe the team is ramping him up, which means I really see him as a starter if healthy. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier, is that's likely the expectation there. It's just got to be healthy. That's the one thing that's hindering him. But yeah, I agree. I was watching him do his back pedaling, going through the motions there. Todd Bowles was literally 10 feet away from him, keeping a close eye on him. But yeah, looked smooth, looked fine. And also saw him and Parrish outside the IPF having to do some sprints and running there. So they're definitely ramping back up, and we'll see if BMO gets into action tonight. I think that'll be interesting. If not, it'll be after the guys are off on Wednesday. Here's Bosco saying, is Keontae Scott playing more nickel or safety, the rookie from the Miami Hurricanes?
Probably a pretty healthy mixture of both. I felt maybe a little more safety early, but we've seen him in nickel quite a bit. Yesterday, at least, we did. Mm-hmm. But he's gotten a healthy sort of cross train going there. They like to have him versatile, and Todd Bowles praises intelligence to be able to handle both. I definitely saw him, I think, in more nickel yesterday, to my immediate recollection. We'll see about tonight.
Mm-hmm. Prototypical Todd Bowles Swiss Army knife player.
Yep. Christian is
do it all, dude. You gotta love it.
Yep. That's how it works with him. Keontae Scott had a really nice play. He ended off practice yesterday at a deep ball that he had a PBU on. Really, really good on the entire defensive side of the sideline. Went over there and showed the rookie some love. So kind of an up and down start for him, but as expected, it is a rookie. Got to let these guys learn, grow, develop. Don't rush anything. But, man, I'm already ready for a preseason game. I really am. I'm excited. But if you're with us here still, that's going to do it for us here on Hear the Cannons. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. We'll be with you guys later tonight around 9:30-ish for the instant recap from day 6 of training camp for the Bucs. Lord knows what will happen tonight. We'll see if this run game can get back into a groove. The offensive line has to bounce back, and we'll see though this defensive line if they're going to go able to go almost 3 days in a row of causing havoc in the trenches. But that's going to do it for us. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button too if you have not yet. We are going to see you guys later tonight. We're out of here. Peace.
See ya. Fire the cannons.